Hi, everybody. Welcome to the chat. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm super excited to welcome Mike from the Fish Tank Barn. Thank you so much for being here. And I do feel like it's a really long overdue conversation.
Oh, no problem. Happy to be here.
You want to say hi?
Oh, I'm here. I'm interested. He's got everything. So
we were just kind of chatting a little bit about the beforehand, but I just really want to start off by asking you all about your Livebearers because you have so many cool different assortments and tanks.
Oh yeah,
is that what you started with? Livebearers?
I actually started in fish keeping with saltwater.
Saltwater. Okay, I didn't.
So
know.
I did saltwater for probably about 8 years before I even touched a freshwater tank.
Wow, that's cool. I didn't know that at all.
And so I got involved with like freshwater or saltwater breeding, the Marine Breeding Initiative, and all these other different things. And then I kind of breeding saltwater fish is boring. Like you literally sit and you wait, for like especially like clownfish. You just sit there and you wait for them to spawn. And so I got bored and I started playing around with YouTube, and I started getting more and more freshwater, and kind of using some of the saltwater gadgets and stuff. And that's kind of where I started playing with auto water chains and automation and stuff like that.
That's cool. I didn't know that at all about you. That's cool.
That's awesome. That's an interesting fact. And something may have to pick his brain on.
Yeah, he's curious about the saltwater now. As far as had brackish, but I've never went like full salt before. So
it's very
do it.
It's harder and easier.
And
it depends what you want to do with it. Like my clownfish tanks upstairs, I don't do anything to them. I do less with them than I do the freshwater tanks.
Yeah, I think the only thing that would bring me into it would be seahorses, because I really do like the seahorses. But I don't know anything about it. I've just looked at saltwater tanks. I've never dived in. Because I know once I do, I'll get hooked. I'll just get hooked.
and fish hoarding, I can tell you from experience, fish hoarding in saltwater gets very expensive.
Yeah. Just going to the couple aquashellas that I've been to, it's very expensive.
I mean, the thing is, you can make it as cheaper and expensive as you want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, my clownfish tanks have like cheap LED floodlights on them right now, but that's because they're not display tanks; they're breeding tanks. But if you're doing like a reef tank, obviously you've got to do something different.
Yeah, I always go through all the corals because they always look so pretty. It's like, how can you not go in there? It's just like, and then you hear about, like, I forget who I was talking to. They bought some $200 coral, and then as soon as they put it in the tank, the fish ate it, and I was like, oh my gosh.
That's happened.
I did not know that. I did not know.
I've done that. I've always liked to push it to the edge, to see what I could do. And we're gonna go completely off of what you asked. I apologize.
No, it's fine.
I bought like corals, and you're not supposed to put corals with butterfly fish. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna try it anyway. And literally, I put it in, and they were like meeting it at the water. Like literally, the fish comes up, the coral goes down, and it's like, well, I think this is gonna fail.
Yeah. Wow. Our local fish store, probably about, I don't know, it might have been a year or so now, they started putting more and more saltwater stuff in, because before it was just freshwater selection. And now it's probably half and half. And I always go look through, and they're like, when are you gonna do it? I'm like, I don't know.
Let me know when you're gonna do it.
Yeah, I'll be like, okay, I don't know anything, so someone's gonna have to help me.
It's like I said, once you get into it, it's not as hard unless you really start going really deep down the level of SPS corals and stuff. It's like plants. It's the same thing.
Yeah, I figured.
It's literally using CO2. It's literally almost the same thing. Like if you run SPS corals, you can run a CO2 reactor, which dissolves the calcium into the water, and you've got, that's how you feed your like SPS corals.
Wow. See, learning something.
Yeah, I'm learning like constantly.
Which are the ones that are like the harder corals, look like the elkhorns and stuff like that. Those are the SPS.
Yeah, it just all looks. Cassie's here. Yeah, I know she's starting. I was watching your guys' stream. She's starting a saltwater tank. And I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything about it. So I'm glad that I'm going to reach out because I know I will eventually. Because I do like the shrimp, like she said. She likes the shrimp too, and I really like the shrimp. They're huge.
Compared to like a cherry shrimp, they're enormous.
Yeah, I was like, wow.
I mean, it's the same thing though. You still have the cycle, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then and then from there, it's like the ecosystem. If you go back to like what Corey preaches a lot about the ecosystem, it's the same thing. And I think that's where I kind of related with that. I was like, yeah, this is saltwater is just the ecosystem. You build the ecosystem, and then it works for you.
I'm excited. I learn something new every day. It's so fascinating, and I know, like I said, I'll eventually do it, but I don't know when. But yeah, I'm already going to thank you for your help because I'm going to reach out.
Yeah, you already got her started down the wormhole.
I'm just kind of thinking now. I'm like, oh gosh.
No problem. Yeah, I'll tell you where you can get good information too.
Well, thank you. Yeah.
Well, thanks everybody being in here. We got, I mean, a crazy amount. We got skippers. I seen Daniken in here. Scott. Oh my God. Mainly Betta, BJ, Aqua Balls, Crystal. I know I missed people, but
thank you for being here.
There's a bunch of them in here.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. My lovely Cat's story for the stream today decided to knock my glasses off the nightstand and they cracked in half. So I'm even more blind today than I normally am. So sorry, guys.
Don't worry. How many do you have?
Huh?
How many do you have?
Cat-wise? Just one.
Just one?
One clumsy kitten. This is the clumsiest kitten I've ever met.
I swear this cat has equilibrium problem.
It likes to just fall.
It's the only cat I know that if it falls, it does not land anywhere close to its feet.
But this time it got my glasses. And so, yeah, yesterday I was working in the fish room with dilated eyeballs with no glasses or contacts. And I'm like, this is not going to go well. I was trying to get the stream to look good. We added some lights right here. I don't know if you guys can see them, but we added some lights. And I was like, this is really difficult.
Yeah, it's very... I did that one time too. I made the mistake of, it wasn't too far, but I did make the mistake one time of trying to drive home with dilated eyes. It was not pleasant.
It was, yeah.
Like it was like a mile. It wasn't like, I got on the freeway or anything. And it was
I figured I'd take the chance since he was driving, but
well, she was blind enough. Even the lady there, I took her into the place to get for her appointment. And the lady's like, you can't come in here. I'm like, I don't want to go in there. I just have to stand next to her because she's that blind. She can't hardly even see you.
I'm that way too if I don't have my contacts in. Like, I can't see remember the old school, yellow, or not yellow, but red alarm clock?
Uh-huh.
I couldn't see it. Like, it'd be fuzzy, like from my bed, right?
And it's right here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So side note, tangent for the stream.
Yeah, we have three, and I have a little bit of a funny cat story too. My wife was asleep in the other room. It's a kitten, but we got a new one, maybe 4 or 5 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, the cat's in here. The cat came in here. I'm like, how? Like, your door's closed. How did the cat come in here? Apparently, the cat was climbing through the vent. And going up in the other vent, like it was open, right? It was one of those ones that say got broken or whatever, and we just never replaced it. It went through the vent, climbed through the ductwork, it came out the other side underneath into my wife's room.
Yeah, we had a cat that did that, and I thought it was not going to come out, and I called our neighbor. I was like, "What am I supposed to do?" And he's like, it'll come out, and it did.
I mean, we quickly put the vents back, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not sawzawing the cat out of the ductwork. That's not in my job description.
I know. He's like, what do you expect me to do? I was like, I don't know. Tell me everything's going to be okay. I don't know. But yeah, it climbed. I kept hearing this meow. I was working in the fish room and I kept hearing this meowing. I was like, but the cat's not in here. And then I looked up. I was like, it's in the vent. Oh, fun time.
Oh,
I mean, funny. Speaking of like animals, I get animals because this building's not attached to our house, right?
Uh-huh.
I get animals in here. Okay, not in here or around here occasionally.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's been a mouse in here before, and I was like in a conference call, and this mouse goes running across the floor, and I'm just like, wait, cool, like.
Yeah, there's all kinds of. We have just little creepy crawlies down here in the fish room, being in the basement sometimes in the summer, but nothing. No, I don't think we.
nothing crazy. You said mouse running across the floor. The only thing I was thinking is feeding the arowana.
Yeah, he's obsessed with feeding the arowana, but being detached, there's got to be some benefits to just kind of going out in the fish room if it's not detached to the house. I guess there's got to be tons of benefits to that.
There is, and there's not, right? Because you don't interact with the house, right?
Yeah.
And then it's become my office now too, because I haven't been to the office since the big fish deal in March.
Mm-hmm.
So this has become like my office and like kind of like this area. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah. Sometimes I'll come down here and I wish that I had something detached because I'm like, I just want 5 minutes to finish something. Jesse's upstairs. Go see Jesse. You don't need me.
Right, because you'll like for me, like if I'm doing like plumbing, right, I'll have it like cut open or something, right?
Uh-huh.
And the phone rings. You know, that's the mechanism, right? The phone will ring and be like, okay. Next thing, and then the auto water change goes off, and I've now flooded the entire building, right?
Mm-hmm. I saw a comment up here. I think it was like Pet. He was late because he was watching a fish tank barn tour and lost track of time. I was watching your video. I believe you posted it like 4 hours ago, or ish, of some new fish that you got in. Those plecos looked amazing.
It was. Thank you. It was one of those things I've been kind of wanting to get some plecos, and and I was looking at some other places, and then I went to this fish store that I've never gone to. Or I haven't been to in years, excuse me. Like there's a whole area in Metro Detroit where it's like there's literally like 5 fish stores within like 6 miles of each other or something. It's kind of crazy. And so I'm like, I got there late and they had changed all of their hours because of the pandemic. And I'm like, I'm already out here. It's about a 40-minute drive for me. And I'm like, well, let's go to this place. And I go in there and a guy from the fish club's working there. And there's all these plecos. I'm like, okay, here's my wallet, you know.
Yeah, for real.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, you know. So.
Yeah, I don't have any. I've got some of Jeff Rose Cheese Creek plecos, but other than that, I've got a high fin pleco and some bristle nose plecos. And I think the bigger common one upstairs, but I don't have any of those. Just you walk in and you're like, that's a special. That's special.
Actually, kind of funny. I was with Jeff Rose when he got those.
Really? Yeah, you were, weren't you? It was rock, paper, scissors or something, wasn't it? You guys were doing like a rock, paper, scissors thing or something.
Yeah, it was kind of a weird story. They were doing rock, paper, scissors, and I was there with them. And then I left because I had to get back to Detroit, and it's about a 5-hour drive. And I got home at like 4:00 in the morning. I'm like, I gotta go, guys. Like, it was a day trip, right? So it was 5 hours there. It's gonna be 5 hours back, and it's like, and the 1 hour time change going back from Chicago to Detroit. And I'm like, we gotta go.
Yeah, I gotta book it, man.
You know, and actually the 2 Severums actually are from Pleco Paradise.
Oh wow!
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I remember that, Jack. You said that. I was like, yeah. Obviously, you're right. You were there, but you were in that video.
Yeah, it was just interesting, right? We all go out and we, you know, how it comes, how it comes kind of full circle, right? And these fish are still here, right? 2 years later.
Yeah, those are very beautiful fish behind you.
Thank you.
They're very colorful from afar through a webcam. You know they're pretty in real life.
It's probably one of my favorite tanks. I want to do some more of these backgrounds. I just haven't gotten the motivation to like train tanks and like do them.
Oh, very fuzzy. I think it's my microphone that's doing the fuzzy thing. Can you get? Is it getting better?
Yeah, it is now.
There's a fuzzy sound. I think it's my microphone. I don't know.
Well, Select Pet wants to know, speaking of the plecos and the fish tank barn, does he keep them extra warm like the zebras from there, or?
I keep them kind of tropical temperatures. I mean, one of the struggles about having, I mean, this building's insulated. It's, you know, it's in Michigan, so you have to insulate it, or it's, you're going to go broke and it's going to be a failure. You're just going to not keep up, right? But that tank does have a heater. So it's at the warmer end of the tropical range, like probably about 70. I haven't checked the temperature on it, but it's probably about, say, 77 to 80. So this building does go through like a seasonal change to it. Like the tanks will get a lot warmer in the summertime, even with the insulation and everything. And then in the winter, they'll get a little bit colder. So they go through this like seasonal transition here, which is kind of an interesting aspect of it.
Well, which, I mean, that would mean for the fish, it'd be, to them, it's a little more like nature. There's going to be a change.
Right. I mean, it's not drastic like it would be like if they were like outside, but there's still some.
That makes sense. Keep going.
Well, I was trying to fix this microphone while you were doing such a lovely job.
Oh, it is.
Let me know if you guys can still hear it in the chat, but it kind of comes and goes on my end. But getting back to your Livebear selection, because that's what I'm curious about. Do you know how many Livebears you have? Or do you keep track anymore?
I have a list, but I don't want to like detract from the chat while I go over.
No, you don't have to read it.
I'll open my Excel spreadsheet and like pull them all out.
Do you just keep them all for the most part the same way, or do you tweak each tank for just?
Other than the Goodeids, I basically keep them all the same way.
All the same.
And given the temperature variant between the upstairs and downstairs, I actually keep a lot of the Goodeids downstairs because it's cooler downstairs, and then I keep a lot of the other Livebearers upstairs.
Okay, I've got some Amicus Splindens that I've had maybe like, I don't know, 8 months maybe now. And they're awesome. That's the first time I've ever kept a Goodeid or anything like that. I've always kept with the Guppies, Mollies, and Swordtails. But they're aggressive, but they're nice. They're in a 55 gallon. I've got them to have a few fry, but I took the heater out. Well, I took the heaters unplugged. I didn't take the heater out. The heater's still in there, but it's unplugged because I had them in heat. And then I guess you're not supposed to. They like them a little colder.
Yeah, yeah. There's even some species that they literally found in ice.
Oh wow!
So there's one, and I struggle keeping it, but it can't go above 70.
Yeah, I had them with some Corridoras, and that's how I found out they're going to just probably be by themselves because I don't have any more Corridoras anymore. I put them in there. I was like, they could all quarantine together because I got them about the same time. And then, no, didn't work out too well.
I've actually had some luck keeping them with rainbow fish, some of the cooler water rainbow fish.
Yeah, I need to get some of those too. Every time I watch your guys' chat, I fall in love with some different type of species of fish. And it's the cichlids, the rainbows, all those, and the shellies. Now it seems like every chat I'm like, oh, I need those now.
I actually just had to move my shellies because I went over and I got all those fish from Jimmy, and I got the Burchardi and the Similis. And the Burchardi have like overrun the tank to the point where there's very few Similis left. And I had to do a rescue mission the other day and like take one and put them in a new tank. Like literally, there's like thousands of Burchardi in there now.
Oh wow! Well, do you keep what type of substrates do you keep most of your Livebearers, and just do you experiment with different substrates, or do you keep one particular one because you like it so much? I
generally keep it either on full filter sand or Home Depot gravel.
Yeah, I've got a little bit of everything. I like the gravel and the sand mix because I think I've had that the longest. But I've got a couple dirted tanks now, and the plants are doing really well. I'm like, man, those plants in this tank right here behind me. I got some Madagascar lace plant bulbs recently, and that tank, that bulb is growing leaps and bounds over the other ones. So it's kind of fun to experiment and get outside my own comfort zone. But I was kind of curious what you used.
It's like the cheapest substrate you can find. It's literally, I go to Home Depot and I buy like the pea gravel and I just wash it really well and I use that, and I use full filter sand and for like the cichlids and stuff like that, and it works just fine.
Yeah, it's a lot cheaper too, and it does work really well.
Yeah, and all the plants have grown in that. I mean, I kept discus in it when I had the discus tank. I mean, they were in the Home Depot gravel and they did fine. Yeah,
your plants always looked good, but I feel like you're getting some more in, kind of branching out a little bit, different plants.
Yeah, it was funny because it was more function than form. Like because I like to breed fish, and so I just used them as filtration. And and then when I did the tour with Lisa, she's like, "Your plants look really good," and I'm like, "Oh, I don't do anything with them at all. I don't do anything. Like I literally have a bottle of Easy Green that's like dusty because I don't use it."
Yeah.
Right? And it's like I literally have like bushels of Vallisneria. Like I have to like I sent a whole bunch to Bob because I was like, he's like, "Oh, no one has a Val." I'm like, "Oh, I have Val. I have more Val than you ever want."
Yeah, your tanks look good.
Thank you.
Definitely look good, for real.
Well, Audrey's got a question. She says, favorite live foods, and she's setting up a tank. Was going to put Daphnia in it again, but thinking about trying something else. Recommendations?
Aquarium Co-op brine shrimp hatcher with the brine shrimp.
Yeah, brine shrimp I've recently started doing that, and I'm figuring it out. And that's something that makes a huge difference.
It's cheaper too. I found it was cheaper than, like, you know what I mean? If you just take your container, I still have it sitting here. Like, you take your container, you know.
I have that same one too.
And just, you know, and I literally, like, one batch can feed pretty much all of the fish room other than like the bigger fish, right? But
yeah, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, go ahead.
I was putting, I think, too many eggs in my hatchery at first, and I stopped putting so much eggs in them, and now I have a better hatch rate. But I don't have one of the hatcheries. I have a water bottle. And I was getting just so much of the eggs still floating. I was getting a good hatch, but felt like I was wasting a lot of the eggs too. So I set up the water and everything the same, but I don't put quite as many eggs in there, and it helps. I feel like, for me at least.
Yeah, I usually just use the teaspoon, and that seems to work okay.
Yeah, I think I was putting a teaspoon and a half. Because I always do, we'll try a little smidge more too. And the little smidge didn't work out too well for me. Does the dirted tank, or here, read this because I can't see it. Does dirted
tank grow plants better? Is it worth the change?
Yeah.
I've never done it, so I can't answer it.
Oh, you haven't?
No.
I think it depends on the plant and what you're trying to grow.
Some of them, they grow just fine in the gravel sand. Some of the, like the Vallisneria, I have a bunch of it too, and it grows well in anything.
Yeah, we're like you. I can bundle it up by the trash bag.
But I have some of this, is it pennywort, I believe it's called, and I've tried growing that in every single tank I have, and it will not grow. But I put it in the Splendid tank, and it's dirted, and it's growing slowly, but it's looking really good now. And like this water wisteria, it seems like it grows pretty well in most of the tanks. But this one, I have it pushed more into the dirt than some of the other ones, and I think it grows a little bit better. But I think with these lace plants, because it's just the bulb's just resting on the substrate. I think it has to do with that tank's a little warmer and the light. It's got a lot more light that goes down to the bottom because this top one, that hydrophilia blocks a lot of the light. So I think that's why this one's growing better than this one, because This one doesn't have anything blocking the light. But yeah, I think it just kind of depends on the plant. So yes and no, I guess.
Well, I mean, because you got, the plant varieties are so crazy.
Well, when you,
and I know Mike knows, there's just everything. You got
Mhm.
Crips and Nubis. It
There's
just goes
so
on
many.
forever.
there's so many to learn, and it's a hit and miss. Because I'll have 2 tanks set up the exact same way, and one it will grow really well, and the other one it'll grow, but just not quite as well either. So
yeah, that's true. I think there's something with our water. I don't know what it is, but there's probably something in our water that helps here.
yeah, I know my well water growing up, we didn't have plants growing up in that tank, but I just didn't have as many problems with our water. Just, I don't know. That well water was magic.
I think there is something with the Detroit water system. It's in the Great Lakes or whatever. There's something with, it's like Lake Malawi, so maybe just all the minerals that are in it naturally probably does help some.
Yeah. Here, see if there's anything else that I missed. Sorry, guys, my eyeballs don't work today.
Well,
So is there anything else you want to talk about with Livebearers?
Mainly just anything and everything comes to your mind. I don't have anything specific. We can talk about food again. We can talk about like different species. You have one that's your favorite or one that you want to eventually try to get in?
the live bearer that's the hardest to breed.
Yeah, that's a good question.
The Livebearer that's the hardest to breed.
To have it to breed.
I'm gonna not count stingrays because those are technically Livebearers, but I've not had any that were hard. I can't think of anyone that are hard off the top of my head that are like any harder. The Goodeids would be harder because they have the 60-day gestation period, and a lot of them are more apt to eat their fry. So I would say Goodeids. Is there one that I've had any? Yeah, because there's been some that have been a struggle. There's been the Scythia multipunctata that I've had for 2 years that they've like bred out at first, and then I haven't had fry forever. And now I'm starting to finally get some. So I don't know if it was the tank but that fish was a struggle for me. And then the one and I'm trying to remember the name of it, but there's one that I got it. It was the 70-degree fish. That fish, I struggled to keep alive in the summer. I always would break down.
Do you give them like a season where I've read that they like a little bit of a cold snap and then a little bit of where it's not drastically warmer, but you raise the temperature up a little bit more when you want them to breed, and then they like a break and kind of give them a little bit cooler water. Is that true?
I've not heard that.
No.
But that maybe happens again in the fish barn. But
it was something about like they'll breed pretty steady, but if you want them to not breed themselves to where they kind of cut their lifespan a little shorter, that you're supposed to kind of give them a winter almost. Make it like a cool few months and then warm it up maybe a few degrees so they start breeding again. But I don't know. I couldn't.
I'll have to check the Goodeid working group. Maybe that's true. I've not heard that.
I remember. I couldn't tell you where I read it. I would assume somewhere on the internet. I don't think it was in a video. I feel like I read it somewhere. So, because that's what got me to unplug it. Because I was like, well, it's not drastically. That tank's not warm. It's still on the colder side. But I just went ahead and completely unplugged it. And then I got some fry before I unplugged it. And then I unplugged it. And there's a few that the females are fat. They're definitely full of fry, but they haven't dropped anything. So I was curious. That popped in my brain. I was like, well, if anybody's doing know, it's you.
I'll answer the favorite one, and then there's a couple questions.
Okay.
But my favorite one is there's something called a blackfin flasher.
Oh.
It's and how I ended up getting the Livebearers. There's a gentleman who's like in the ALA and everything in West Michigan, and we've all sort of like Jeremy, like I and a few other people have like bought all of his fish to kind of keep the legacy going because he's in his 70s, and so it's really kind of one of these things to really get, keep that legacy going, right? And so that's where I get them all. As I go over to West Michigan, pre-human maleware, as Bentley would call it, And then I go over and just say, go over and through their auctions or their club meeting, and they'd be there, and they all pass them around, and so I just pick them up there.
Wow.
And that fish, it's really cool. It's like a Norman's lamp-eye killifish, and it's got like a nice blue eye on it and everything.
It sounds pretty. Those blue-eyed fish are all pretty.
Let me see. Is there
Select Bet want to know if you keep any of the Goodeids together in the same tank.
I do not. I'll keep them with other fish, like rainbow fish or swordtails or mollies or platies. Like a Variatus platy is a good one to keep with Goodeids because the Variatus can handle the cooler water. But I generally don't keep them together just because they're so endangered in the wild. Mm-hmm. I really don't want to have anything crossbreed.
And then Audrey wants to know, is there one live bear you would never, ever do again?
Not really one that I would never do again. There'd be one that I would cycle out, probably like a swordtail strain. Like once I'm kind of done with it, I'm done with it. Mm-hmm. So that's really kind of it. Maybe mollies. They're just kind of. If I could find some good mollies, maybe.
I don't have the best luck with mollies. Like they always look healthy and they interact with each other, but I have the hardest time getting fry for mollies. And usually when I do, it's no joke, one at a time. So I had better luck with them when they were outside, but I have just some regular black mollies right now that are left. But out of all of them, those are the hardest ones to get fry from for me personally. Do you have hard luck with mollies?
Yeah, a little bit.
A little bit.
They don't do as well for sure as some of the other fish.
So,
but I do kind of want to get the big sailfin mollies. I might be kind of a dream fish.
They have one a few hours away at a fish store up by the place I work at. They're huge. And I don't know where, if I ever got any like that, I don't know where I'd put them, but they're like 3 or 4 inches and that's for me, like around here, that's a big molly for anything. But they are beautiful. They are beautiful, but I just don't have the best luck with them. So I always just kind of appreciate them from afar, I guess. I try.
I do too. Like those are that's like probably this hardest one I've probably.
Do you keep them, when you do keep them, do you add salt or do you keep them more freshwater?
I keep them mostly freshwater. I don't really add salt.
No. Yeah. Summer tubbing, hopefully, it's just around the corner. I wish it was here sooner.
We still got about 3 months. Actually, summer tubbing in Michigan is basically Memorial Day to Labor Day. It's kind of what summer tubbing season is here. So you could push it either way, but anything kind of outside of that realm, you're kind of playing with fire.
Risky business.
It is. It could get literally, it snowed here May 10th, which is pretty late for us.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we probably get a tad bit warmer a little bit sooner than you do.
Oh, I'm getting kicked in the teeth in the chat. Lumpy Dog, you're making me jealous.
He's itching to talk football.
No, I'm itching to go check the highlights, folks, is what I'm getting. Yeah.
I had it on in the car. I had to run a couple errands before we started, and I had it on in the car. I haven't been watching. I was watching fish stuff or messing around with whatever things in here, and wasn't really paying attention. But yeah, I've not watched a lot of football ever since like college sort of ended. I've sort of just kind of let it go.
Yeah, I was watching fish chats and he was screaming over football and the kids were screaming over Fortnite. So I just listened to fish chats. It was like, bye guys.
Yeah. Put the headphones on. She's like a yoga woman. Noise canceling headphones.
I've been actively trying to edit videos faster. So my goal was to edit this morning and then do fish chats. But then I just dived into fish chats and skipped all the editing. I was like, well,
that's why I lurk a lot. I'll either be doing work in here,
uh-huh.
or I'll be editing a video and I'll have it on in the background. And I feel bad because I know people will say hi, and I'll just be like,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be upstairs, or I'll be over there, or wherever.
Well, you say hi, you just don't type it out. You say hi to yourself. You're like, I'd say hi to you, but I'm doing something.
Yeah, it's kind of, and I have it on in the background as I'm doing something.
Mm-hmm.
And then
it happens.
And football this year in Michigan, the state of Michigan, was just terrible. Like, the Lions are the Lions; they're always awful.
Uh-huh.
University of Michigan was horrendous, and so was Michigan State. So literally, it was depressing.
Oh yeah, and now the Cleveland's on a high, and apparently, according to the chat, since I missed it, so this really I'm gonna have to go back and watch a bunch of stuff. Mahomes is out with a concussion.
Oh.
So that's not good for if you're a Chiefs fan.
Well, that was that, folks.
And they already threw Chattanooga in the mix. Ed, that they were like, he's probably enjoying the game or upset right now, one or the other.
Is he gonna have to wash his beard out?
Maybe.
Or is he just gonna keep it red forever now?
We'll just move on to Cardinal season.
So Rico's saying always awful. It's got to be like, I'm not really a fan of the Lions anymore. I just watch them for entertainment because they find new and entertaining ways to not be good.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right. But I mean, really, being a Lions fan is just about as. I mean, it's like being for a long time a Chiefs fan, and for a long time the Browns. Look at the Browns. If you were a Browns fan, you had to be die hard.
Well, they at least went to the Super Bowl. The Lions have not ever been to the Super Bowl. The last time they've won one playoff game since 1958.
I will say the last time the Browns were in a playoff game, it was 18 years ago.
Yeah, that's true. They've been a couple of times that they've lost, but it's kind of you just expect it now, and it's what it is, So Larry D had a question. What is the most aggressive fish I have other than cichlids? That's a tough question because it's mostly the cichlids are the most aggressive fish in here.
Yeah.
It's almost like the swordtails or the Goodeids.
Yeah.
You know what it is? It's I do have the Florida flagfish. That's probably it. That fish, I can just tell that fish is pretty. It has some ornery streaks to it for sure.
I didn't know those were aggressive. I've seen pictures of them, but I didn't know the flagfish were aggressive.
They seem a little aggressive, but maybe. Oh, you know what? It's the bettas. I forgot about those. It's the betta sorority upstairs.
Yeah.
Imagine that. Women aggressive. Never would have guessed it.
Oh.
The males are worse, though.
Yeah.
Thank you for salvaging that one. Otherwise, we're going to get a lot of hate in a minute.
I would assume pea puffers are hard to breed. Have you bred pea puffers before?
No.
I have not.
I would imagine you need like rotifers or some sort of small food like that to raise them up.
They were just hard to generally keep for me. So I would assume breeding would be extremely difficult.
I've never gotten into puffers.
I've had some green spotted puffers in the past, and now we have the figure 8 puffers that are new. And I like their personalities, but it seems like I have really good luck for a while, and then it just goes downhill. So I don't know if it's the way I water change or what, but so far, knock on wood, the figure 8 ones are doing great. I had one sick one, but he's doing great now. He's eating back, like he's back to eating and hanging out and running the tank. So hopefully everything works out. But I haven't had very many different types of puffers, just a few. I've had the pea puffers, the green spotted, and the figure 8 now.
Yeah, I've never had one at all. I don't think I've ever had a puffer.
They're so cute. Their personalities are so adorable.
I watched, like the ones that Corey has, or I think when I went to AJ's, and it was like, they're really cool. It's just like, I just don't want to feed the clams, and like I always try to keep it simple and try to make the fish kind of fit with your lifestyle and how you feed the fish room.
Yeah.
And so it's like, having to go get clams. The next thing you know, you forget. And you've got to run out to the store in the middle of the night to find clams or something.
Yeah, I stick with the smaller ones because I kept a 5-gallon tank outside. It was a 2.5 gallon actually outside with just algae and pond water, and grew a bunch of snails up because I knew I would eventually get some when I found them. And then I have a couple of tanks down here that's devoted just for feeding snails. So, but if they get much more where they need clams, I probably won't. I'll be like, it just is too much for me. But between the kids, the dogs, we got a rabbit now.
You know what? We have a rabbit too.
It's my first rabbit. He got snowed out and came home with a rabbit.
The rabbits are interesting. That was an unexpected pet.
Yes. So I just know I'm kind of like, I need something that fits into my routine, something that's probably best fed what I already have, or can get readily down here in the fish room if I can pull it out. But
yeah, I literally feed everything. It's the same stuff almost. I mean, the extreme I can feed to the saltwater fish too. So I eat a lot of extreme stuff.
Yeah, that's a great food. I have the krill flakes, and that's a great food.
I kind of keep a lineup of it. I have like the krill, the spirulina, and then the various pellets. And I have the North Fin too, so I keep kind of a pretty good mix.
Yeah, I have, every time I go to the fish store, I buy some fish food. And so whatever I feed for that day, everybody gets, but I have a good rotation of stuff that I feed.
Yeah, always trying new types of fish food just to see.
It works. I feel like because I always just fed the Tetra Flakes. That was the only food I ever fed. And now that I've branched out the box and feed the guppies and everything a little bit more variety, it definitely helps the colors look better, the fry look better. I get more fry at a time instead of just feeding I still like the Tetra Flakes. I still feed it, but it's not the only thing I feed now. And experimenting with the brine shrimp, the live food, that upped the game.
Oh,
I'm definitely in that way too, where, we had a fish club meeting. They're not putting them on YouTube, but it was on like Zoom. And he had stuff like grindle worms and white worms and stuff like that. So that's kind of I was like, wow, maybe I should do some more of those.
What did you say?
T-Bone's got a question. He wants to know, how do I get my tiger barbs to breed? I've had them for a while now and nothing's happening. So I'm going to throw that to Mike and you.
I haven't had tiger barbs.
Me neither. I would say feed them heavily, like maybe live food. I don't know if they take flatworms or not, but I'd feed them heavily and then put a lot of cover on the bottom, maybe like a spawning mop or something on the bottom, and see if you can collect the eggs.
Yeah, it seems like cover and high quality live foods. Lots of cover. Give them some. Turn the lights off. It seems like my guppies always drop fry when the lights are off. And no, tiger barbs aren't guppies, but maybe give them just some time where the lights are off, maybe too. Might help. They won't have, stress. A little less stress, probably.
Yeah.
I haven't had the barbs. I've gotten, what was it? It was some tiny little barb once, but I used it as food. I didn't keep it when I had the lionfish. So that's about, I'm no help for them. They are cool fish, though. They had some at the store the other day, and I showed you what they look like.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them. I don't know nothing about them.
I wish I could help you, Bone.
I know
more
about plants.
No problem.
Sorry,
I'm at, Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't have a lot of experience either. I want to actually get the barbs that Dan has in his background for this tank. That's like the only other fish I want to get for this. Are
They
those
are cool fish though? They really are.
those like albino Denison barbs? I think they are.
Mm-hmm.
Those are. They look like a saltwater anthias. Like they're like really colorful for some reason. They come out really colorful, at least on film. Apparently, there's more football. Apparently, the Broncos.
Oh, yeah, there's a lot of football. A lot of football.
I'm kind of like not looking a little bit.
Yeah. Try not to look. Cass got her question answered. She wanted to know what kind of food that was stick on the glass, and somebody else down there answered it.
Yep, yeah. I really like the Onip tabs. It's too bad that they made them different.
I used them a long time ago. It probably wasn't the same brand, but I used to use them when I just had one tank. I would stick them on the glass, and then I'd go to work, and then that's how I fed them when I had roommates. But I haven't used any of that type of food in a really long time. I probably should. It always worked great.
It's a great way to cheat with filming.
Mm-hmm.
Like I did that with the plecos, like especially the leopard frogs in the last video.
Mm-hmm.
I literally I could not get them to come out. They're all in this piece of wood. And so what I ended up doing is I took some pleco wafers, put it in the bottom, and I just set the camera up. And the camera I have doesn't shut off after 30 minutes.
Uh-huh.
It'll go for as long as you leave it go. And I literally had an hour of footage, and but halfway through the plecos come out, and was able to catch them on film.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll have something that I'm like, okay, just hold it. I'm going to go grab my phone. I'm going to record this. You're doing something really cool. And no joke, as soon as I get there, get it lined up, focus, turn the camera on, they move. And I'm like, oh, man.
I have some fish that really do that. They'll literally, like one of my strategies now is I'll set the tripod up and just hit record and walk away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was like, as soon as they leave, they go right back. Like, oh, man.
That's so cool. That's better than us. Hey, Haley.
Hi, Haley.
Hey, Haley.
I was going through my sticker collection of everybody's channels and putting them in some frames yesterday. And I finally opened your stickers, Haley, because I kept them in the envelope. I did not want to bend them or ruin them until I got them on the wall. I was like, these look so good.
Yeah, I need to do stickers again. I haven't done one since I changed the logo. So
yeah, I have never gotten I need to email Jadderin Aquatics. Yeah, he told me, I emailed him like 2 years ago, a year ago. He's like, yeah. And then he's like, I'm a little busy, but we'll get through. It was when the first Aquashella or something like that. And then I just never emailed him back because I just feel like he's always busy with his fish room. So I need to get some channel stickers. I like collecting everybody's. It's fun.
Yeah, I have a whole bunch. I have like a bunch, not a whole bunch, but I have some. I have like a bunch of the co-op ones.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got some, got Bubbles, a few others here. I've got some from Haley, River Life, Zenzo,
Mm-hmm. It's fun. I had no idea. I was like looking back through everybody's channels. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I kind of miss the conventions for sure. It's been way too long.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, and I think the first one's in Orlando in June, but I cannot remember the dates for it.
Yeah, I'm a little hesitant on that one yet still. We're supposed to have the ALA in Detroit in April. Like, I've not been saying much about it because I don't know if we're really going to have it.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy any tickets or anything until right up because I'm just not sure. But I'm hoping. I miss everybody, seeing everybody in person. Like, I'm glad we can live stream and we still can chit chat, but there's something about seeing everybody in person that it's just so fun.
Absolutely. And it's fish. I don't know if I'll be able to make Orlando. I'll have to see what's going on, but I always like it when I can drive. It's just easier. Mm-hmm. And yeah. Orlando's a flight for me for sure. That's a 24-hour straight drive. So
yeah, I don't know if I can do it all 3 a year, but I definitely want to try to go to as many as I can.
Yeah, there's I will say this though, I've been to fish conventions in Florida for saltwater,
Mhm.
and fish conventions in Florida are always a lot of fun compared to other places for some reason.
Really? I've never been to Florida, so I'm just looking for a reason to make a road trip down to Florida. But like, I'll probably have to fly too. I don't know if we can drive that far, but
Yeah, I'm good for about 12 hours, and the aquatic experience was kind of the limit. Like from Detroit to New Jersey, that was a whole day. You know,
I'm not a good car rider.
my kids aren't.
Really?
I was, because like we lived in Illinois for a while when I was a kid, and we would drive up to Michigan all the time. And so I became a good like car rider because I was used to like the road trips.
Yeah, I get sick. I don't know why. I either get a stomach ache or a headache. I don't know. There's just something about riding in the car for a long time. It just doesn't make me feel good. So.
Yeah, I always get. My problem is I don't ever stop, and then I'm like all stiff and sore.
Yeah.
And everything else, and it's just like.
I usually try to like just power through it, and then I don't stop to eat or something, and I get overly hungry. I probably just do it to myself. Probably my own. But yeah, I don't do well and I don't mind to fly, but last time I flew I was by myself, and it's just more fun to go with a buddy.
Yeah, we went to Germany last summer with the kids in 2019, and the flight was the worst part. Everything else was fine, but the flight, like with an 8 and an 11-year-old, is a little tough.
Yeah. I haven't. The kids, we've taken them on some road trips here and there, but we haven't flown with the kids ever. So I don't even know how that would go. But that's to Germany. I bet that was a good trip, but I bet that was a long flight.
It was, yeah. It was the 8 hours. So, and then you get the jet lag, right, where it's destroyed. And my wife lived in Germany for a while, so we went back to where she lived at in Heidelberg. So it was kind of and then the first day was horrible. We ended up walking. Like, I thought we were just going down the road for a bit and coming back to our room. And so I wore like the Crocs I wore on the plane, and we ended up being out like all day. And I'm like, we got to about 3 o'clock, and I only had an hour of sleep on the plane because the kids were all over the place and everything else. And I'm like, I need to go back to the hotel room. I'm not going to make it if we don't go back, because like the Crocs aren't really made for walking that far, right? And then like my legs were shaking, and I'm like, we need to go back to the hotel room for a little while.
Yeah. I've never been to Germany or anywhere overseas, but my cousins grew up in Germany, and my oldest cousin, she had just had her wedding over there in a really pretty, it wasn't a church, but it looked, I can't remember if it was like a little castle, or it wasn't a church, but it looked like a church.
It could have been.
It was a really beautiful place, and they gave them, like, after the ceremony, they had like a little tour of the grounds, and everybody went around. It was a year and a half, 2 years ago now, but they grew up over there, and that's where they're back living over there. He's a pilot, a German airline pilot.
Okay.
And so, yeah, they spend a lot of time over there, but I've never been there. But it sounds, just listening to it talk, it sounds like an amazing place to visit.
Europe in general, I actually ended up, after college, I actually lived in England for about 6 months.
Oh, wow.
I found this like program where they would give you a visa to go do whatever you could find there. And so after college, instead of just going to get a job, I went to England for 6 months and kind of traveled around and went to various places and stuff like that.
Wow.
That was smart. Go out and have some fun.
Oh, I had a lot of fun. That's a conversation for off the live stream. I had a lot of fun in Europe. Let's just say that. I was very sad to come home after about 6.5 months.
Yeah. Be like, hi, Catfish Terry.
And I lived in London, and so I went from London back home to the small town I grew up in Michigan, and it was like culture shock.
I bet.
Until I got settled and found a job and everything else.
I bet.
Oh, you're like, hold it. I don't like this no more.
I'll go back.
Yeah. Turn me loose. Oh shoot.
Holly, Holly, are you friends with me on Facebook, Holly Gibbs? Because let me know.
Yeah, I seen that earlier. That's not going to work out for me because I'm usually the one driving.
Well, you can drive, and we'll have a party in the back seat. We'll have girl time chit chat all the way there.
That's just what I need. Yeah, a couple cackling hens.
Oh, I don't have girlfriends. I need some friends in my life.
It's weird. I've actually missed work now in a weird way. Not like the actual work itself, but like the interaction with the people.
Yeah. That's why I tell my work girls, I go up there and I only see them on the weekends, and they work opposite weekends I do. So when we do coordinate, it's random and luck. And I always tell them, I know it's work, but I get to have an adult conversation. I think I would be here regardless if I got paid for it.
I mean, it's just weird because we don't turn our video on. And so for work, and so it's like you're just talking to the phone. And it's like the voice from the Peanuts, the teacher, right?
Uh-huh.
After a while.
Yeah. Wah, 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 wah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the voice from the Peanuts after a while. It's like, oh, my boss is actually a real person. Oh, is that the thing in the phone?
For real.
Yes, I can show up in that. Audrey said, give me a chauffeur's outfit.
We'll get them a hat.
Yeah. I'm used to doing that.
Yeah, it's weird here because no one here goes to any of those conventions like the Aquacellas or anything.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's I did New Jersey by myself. I loaded the van up and just hit the road.
Yeah, I went to the fish store after I got back, and I was just excited from going, and I wanted to talk to anybody that would listen, and they did not have a clue what I was talking about. But you know what? I told them all about it.
Oh no, it's become legendary at work in a way the fish barn has. It's become they all made fun of me for a while, and then when the pandemic hit, they're like, we should have had a fish barn because
you got to have some place, man.
It's literally it's I get up and I go to work out here. It's I just go out the back door and walk out here, come in here, and just kind of start my day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I always get the kids to school, get my coffee, come down to the fish room. That's my morning routine. And I stay here all morning.
Well, it's weird now because my kids haven't been back to school either, so I'm in and out now a lot because they haven't been back to school all year because it's been virtual.
Yeah.
And the older one is pretty self-sufficient. She just does her thing, and the younger one is a little bit more, supervision, we'll call it. So it's I'm kind of back and forth. I'll take meetings and I'll go help her with math or, and then my wife's been she's a teacher, but she's been back, and then she was off then back, then off then back. So we'll see how it all works out.
Yeah, our kids are back. They've been back this year. The high school students have certain days where it's virtual and certain days where they're in, but the elementary school's been back. They just can't play with other classes at recess. They can only play with their class at the recess. And it's helpful. I was really nervous in the beginning, but everything seems to be going well.
Yeah, the elementary school and everything's going fine, but high school, junior high, they're all on virtual.
You're braver than I. They tried to do the virtual thing for a little while. There was a couple weeks, I think, at the very end of last year, and that was hard. So all props to you.
Actually, it's more of my wife, but she's in the chat. But Jen H is my wife. It's more props to her.
Props to you.
She's called you out. Mike's not in so much.
Well, I don't know how you
out.
I don't know how you do that, but you deserve a high five, a pat on the back, and you go, girl.
Yeah, your wife deserves a big one. If she's a teacher going through all this and kids doing virtual, oh my goodness.
But it wasn't Bryden. It wasn't that he wasn't paying attention. He would fall asleep. They would get on there for story times, and the teacher would read him a book and he would just fall asleep. And I was like, this is hard. But yeah, I guess the last few minutes, thank you for being here. The plan was to talk about Livebearers, but I think I talked to you about everything but that, but it was a fun time.
We can do that again if you want, for sure.
I get to talking, but I like to have like just a chit chat, talk a little bit about this and a little bit about that.
Yeah, we
I've seen you since the Aquashella last year. I've seen you in the chats, but I haven't seen you, I think, since that last Aquashella. So thank you for being here.
No problem. Anytime. I mean, it's kind of one of those that's like, I'm not going anywhere. Like,
and Crystal is in the chat. I think she's still here. She's going to be in the on the chat next week. Crystal's petting thing. So I'm excited to talk to her next week too.
Cool. So it was definitely a lot of fun. So definitely thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime. And I'll get back with you and I'll have you on the chat again. I'm sorry it took so long.
Oh, no worries.
But I guess we're supposed to send everybody next to Father Fish. So he should be starting a minute ago. So we'll see everybody at Father Fish. And again, thank you so much for being here on the Sunday live chat. So thank you guys. And thank you, Fish Tank.
Right. So yeah, thank you guys for coming out.
I was going to give you just your own overall thank you.
I was going to say thank you, Mike. Thank you, everybody, for being in here. And
we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.